What's up, guys? It's Greg, and I am here again to talk to you about something that's been bubbling in my brain quite a bit. I can tell you right out the get-go, my wife and I are expecting a baby soon. We are expecting in a few months. We are expecting another girl, so that is very exciting for us. It's been a lot to kind of wrap my mind around and prepare for, and just get everything get everything prepared. So that's part of the reason why I've been struggling to get content out on a regular and consistent basis. It occupies a lot of your brain power and to constantly be thinking about that sort of thing. So I feel like I haven't been able to devote enough time to making a quality video. So I have tried a few times. I just haven't had success with getting anything together that I wanted to present to you folks. It's very exciting, and of course it's something I've been thinking about a ton. So part of that is me thinking about what my experience was when I was a first-time parent, first-time dad. And I just figured I would share some of my experience and my observations. I felt like there were a number of times early on in particular, I just felt like, hey, this is only happening to me, or there's something wrong with me because I am not having the experience that I kind of had built up in my brain. So I wanted to just put this out there. Maybe someone will stumble upon it and will, be experiencing something similar. And I just want it to be out there in the universe that if you are experiencing anything like this, because there really is a full spectrum of experience as a first-time parent, from good to bad, that I wanted to put it out there and let you know that you are not alone. It does happen. And even though it's not something that is really talked about, so much of this is truly normal. So just wanted to give you my thoughts and my observations from being a first-time parent. So the first thing I want to put out there is that no matter how much you prepare, how many books you read, how many classes you take, you're not going to be prepared. There's so much that can happen, and really every child is different. So it's just, I kind of feel as though if you were a pediatrician and you had your first child, it would not really feel like second nature to you. You would still be scratching your head saying, what's going on here? Why is this not working, and so forth. So I feel like you need to go into it expecting that things are going to go wrong, and so much of your experience is just going to be that you don't know what is normal, you don't know what to expect, and so forth. So it's really hard to mess up a child. So if you're doing something wrong, I don't think that you should be too worried about that. You're really going to be in survival mode to start things off, and as long as your baby is still continuing to thrive and progress, the other stuff will fall into place. So I wanted to just put it out there that you're never going to really be prepared. And this is actually something that I'm going to call him my cousin, just to take the complexity of the relationship out of it. But my cousin said to me once, when you get out of the hospital where you've had all of this support, you've had the nurses around, which here's big tip number one for this video. Take advantage while you're in the hospital. Take advantage of those nurses. Learn from them. If you have the opportunity to send your baby down the hall to the nursery for a little bit, they can, get a nap in, maybe get a feeding or something. And then you and your partner can get a little bit of a nap, even if it's just an hour. That's huge definitely take advantage of that. But back to what my cousin was saying, when you are discharged from the hospital, the nurse is pretty much going to just hand you the baby and say, here you go, this is yours. Don't let it die or you're going to jail. Which is a very sobering thought, but it's kind of true. You're not really, again, you're never really prepared for everything that could happen. And I guess advice point number 2 would be, there's a really, really great book out there that I recommend to all new parents. It's called Baby 411. And this is a book that really got my wife and I through it because there were so many things that we just weren't expecting, didn't know how to deal with. It's written in kind of a reference manual kind of format. It's full of a ton of great advice and explanations of the various things that you might be seeing. Like, oh my goodness, what's that rash? Are they allergic to something? They're breathing erratically. What's up with that? There's so many things that you don't know. Is this something that I need to go immediately to the emergency room? Is this something that maybe I'll talk to my pediatrician? Is this just the way the kid is? It helps to just go in with the mindset that you don't know everything and things are generally going to be okay. There will be problems. There will be things that you do need to go to the doctor for. But as long as you are keeping up with the things that you can keep up with, things are going to work out for the best. I promise you that. So another thing that I kind of wasn't really understanding, even though it is kind of talked about a lot more than some of the other things that I want to talk about, is how different it is for the woman carrying the child and their partner. For my wife, my daughter was real from the get-go. She could feel her growing. My wife was pretty sick throughout the pregnancy. She just, you have morning sickness and so forth. And so for her, it was a constant reminder. And then when she could feel the baby moving around, again, constant reminder, hey, this is a real living person, and this is going to be real from here on out. It wasn't real for me, though, because I didn't have the constant reminders. I wasn't feeling the baby. So definitely throughout the pregnancy, my daughter was kind of an abstract concept. I knew that she was coming, but, there was always like, well, she's not here yet. She's not here yet. And even, I think, for the first few days when she was here, she was kind of an abstract concept. And it didn't really become real to me, I think, even until we left the hospital. And then, again, you had that sobering thought of, here, you have to take care of this. That, oh, yeah, this is real. This is happening. So one thing that I really wasn't prepared for, and this is one that it's kind of hard to put into words properly, but when you have a baby, it changes you, and it changes what you're able to do, just anytime that you add a new responsibility, which having a baby does come with a lot of responsibility, but you aren't able to do all the things that you used to do and you used to like to do because there isn't as much time to do it. You have this new responsibility that needs to get done. So when the things that you have to forego are things that are kind of tied into your identity. So, take me, for example. I identify as kind of like a nerdy guy. I'm into video games, and I like to watch movies and TV and read, sci-fi books and so forth. So when the time doesn't allow for me to do those things, at least not in the amount that I had been used to for many, many years, it has felt like kind of a loss of self. Who am I if I'm not able to do those things? Now, it's been the case that it's been getting better, and I've been getting closer to a balance. But it's still something that I have been struggling with even to today. My wife seems like when the baby was born, like some switch flicked, and so all of a sudden it's okay. Well, now I'm in mom mode, and it's no longer about me, and I don't care. It's all about the baby. Everything is grand. And to me, because it's been a struggle, because it didn't flip like it did for her, it just has felt again like it's something wrong with me. It's I mean, I don't think that I'm terribly selfish in general terms, but it kind of hits, because it feels like a loss of self and a loss of identity, and kind of, where do I go from here? So again, that's something that I was not prepared for, and it really caught me off guard, and it's something that I am continuing to struggle with and having to deal with. So another thing that, again, wasn't really talked about for me, and it kind of goes in with that, it's different for the woman carrying the child versus their partner, is you might not be smitten with your child right away. You might take some time to warm up. And that is normal. That is okay. I think that we kind of build it up in this country, what it's going to be like when you have your baby. It's just going to be all, the birds are going to be chirping, and it's going to be sunny, and it's going to be wonderful. I can tell you that, especially early on, it's real hard sometimes to like your child, just because right out the gate, they are just a raw nerve. They are just a bundle of needs that you will constantly be putting more and more effort into making sure that they're comfortable and all of their needs are met, but you're not going to get anything back. So for me, it took until my daughter was able to smile and was able to follow me around the room for me to kind of say, oh, okay, this is what this is about. I get it now. At first, I struggle with saying that, but it's kind of the truth. From the moment she was born, I would have done anything for her. But it's a different kind of a relationship once you're able to find that connection. And for me, it took until she was able to smile that I really got it, and I really started to get it, I should say, because it keeps growing every day, which is kind of, it's hard to wrap your mind around that fact as well. So another thing that really isn't talked about, but it is very true, you're going to get so much unsolicited advice, it's going to make your head spin. And one of the harder things about it is it can really come off as people are judging you, even if they're not meaning to, or they're just kind of trying to be helpful. There will come a time where it's just, you're like, wow, this is just too much. I can't deal with this. So you need to be prepared for it. You need to know that it's going to happen. I would say try to just kind of take it with a grain of salt, absorb the information, but still find the way for yourself. Again, I think I said this earlier, it's hard to mess up a child. You have to actively try. They are going to love you because that's what kids do. So just, be good to your child in the way that you feel is right, and it will all work out. You can let the haters hate, but just, again, take it with a grain of salt, absorb, process, figure out what makes sense to you, try some different things if you're struggling, but just know that they're going to come at you whether you are prepared for it or not. Okay, so another pretty big thing that I don't think is talked about really at all, but having a baby can be really tough on your marriage. You know, you hear about these couples who are having a baby to save their marriage or whatever, but having a baby can really be a strain. So I'm not the easiest person in the world to get along with. Sometimes I'm very cranky. I shut down when things are tough, and it's, to have that on top of what you go through, it's kind of astounding to me in my mind that I'm still married, that I haven't been just kicked out. So when you have a baby, particularly early on, you're going to be sleep deprived, and you're going to be on edge. You're going to be just irritable, and you're going to run into all kinds of situations where you might have disagreements on, how should the baby's bottle be handled? How should you diaper them? Is that really the right way to swaddle, and so forth? And it's going to be a constant evolving situation and fluid situation, and you're going to be at each other's throats sometimes because you're going to be just a raw nerve yourselves. So with that in mind, I really encourage you to make sure that you are doing everything that you can, and make sure that everything is okay for your partner. But also, you really need to work on your relationship with your partner, because, again, it's when you're constantly fighting and you're constantly at each other's throat, it really does take a toll. I can tell you that my wife and I ended up going to group therapy, or couples therapy, I should say, and we are so much better off for it. I think that we are really just in such a better place. We learned, at least for me, what one of the bigger takeaways is that you really need to be good at communicating, and we learned ways to communicate that just, it makes for a much happier life. It makes for a much better situation, because I can tell you that there were times, particularly early on, where my wife and she'll tell you this herself, she hated me. She absolutely hated me. She resented me at a number of times, and so forth. And again, this is normal, and it's okay, provided you're able to kind of recover from it. But, things like, when the baby was born, I was helping out, getting up in the middle of the night, helping with feedings and so forth. But once I went back to work, my wife is a stay-at-home parent, but I'm still in the rat race. And so I wasn't getting up as much. And my wife really was angry at me, even though it was the right thing for us both to do. It definitely started some resentment, and I understand why, but it's just not something that I was prepared for, and even when she talks about it so nonchalantly today, it's just like, ooh. So with all those kind of negative things, one of the things that I, again, was not really aware of going into things, but there are a lot of support groups out there, and I would highly, highly recommend that you go out and you seek them out and see what's available in your community. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them just if you want to just Google, new parent support group, Boston, Massachusetts. Just see that there's going to be a ton out there. And they really are something that you should consider looking into. I can tell you, just sharing my wife's experience, I feel like she kind of was able to get over a lot of the rough parts because she had her new moms group, and she's, I think, made a lot of lifelong friends through it. My daughter has friends from the early on support groups, and really they're kind of like a play group, but it's a really great thing to have that support and know that there are others who are going around or are going through the same things that you are, and I can tell you again that is something that really helped get my wife through some of the harder times. And there are a lot out there for the partners too. There were new dad groups. I didn't really take advantage of them, and I probably should have, just to, again, know that the things that I was going through are not unique to me. There are a lot of other people experiencing similar things, but they're out there. And, another one of those big key things about them is it forces you to get out of the house, which early on, particularly, I at times felt tethered to the house. I felt like I couldn't go out. I couldn't go, it was even a struggle for me to wrap my mind around going down to the store and buying something. Just, there's so much need at home, and, you can't always take the baby out, and it's just, it's something that it forces you out, and it kind of normalizes things, and it's like, oh, okay, this is okay, things are okay, and it's a really a wonderful thing. That's like probably behind Baby 411, huge, and behind Baby 411, and make sure that you take care of your relationship with your partner. Number 3 is going to be check out support groups, see if there are new mom groups, see if there are new dad groups around you, and it's going to help you in ways that you probably weren't prepared for. And so, to round things out, I talked about a lot of negative things, and I told you that it was going to be warts and all. But one of the things that really caught me off guard, and I'm still not able to wrap my mind around it completely, is just how much I love my daughter. She is a real pain. She's a real pain. And to the point where sometimes, the dark recesses of my mind, it's like, well, what if she were to end up on the front stoop with a free sign around her neck? What would happen? No. Dark recesses of the mind only, because I love her in spite of all the struggles, and in spite of everything. She is just so amazing, and the amount of love that she shows me, even when I'm an irritable person, even when I'm not being, I'm not exhibiting behavior that I'm proud of as a parent. Just how much you will love your child, it's overwhelming, and it's crazy, and I could not ever fathom this beforehand. So really, that's how we're ending this video. Is I love my daughter more than I ever thought possible. Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope that if you have been experiencing some of the things that I'm talking about, I'm hoping that you are finding a little bit of perhaps comfort, knowing that you're not the only person experiencing it. There are lots others out there. I'd really love to get some dialogue out there into the universe, because again, I don't feel as though talking about the experiences of everyone involved is out there. There's a lot of information, a lot of people talking about what it is to be a new mother, when you've given birth and what you go through. But there's more to it than that in a lot of cases. And I think that it's worth talking about if for no other reason than to just make it feel a little bit less like you're on an island, like you're going through things and you can't understand it, and so frustrated. It is true. There are others out there, and especially if you go and check out the support groups, like we talked about already, there's a lot that you can benefit a lot from talking about it. Make sure that you are very open with your feelings with your partner. Make sure that you don't get to the point where there's resentment or frustration that is going to, lead to acting out in ways that, you might regret later on. And again, just the more you are able to do to keep your relationship going, I think that is a huge, huge thing. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope again that you have enjoyed this, and keep an eye out. I'm going to have some new videos coming out soon. One about my recent trip. There's a new release for Fortnite coming out soon. I want to get in and explore that a little bit. And guys, I will see you again soon.